Hello, hello. This is episode 80 of 3 of Skeins, Knits and Crochets. I'm trying that out. How do you like that? I'm workshopping that.
As opposed to
3 of Skeins, Knit and Crochet podcast.
I like Knit and Crochet podcast.
We'll agree at some point.
Change the name of the podcast during an episode, and that's how
I just thought I'd workshop it. I thought about
Am I not in the workshop?
No. I thought about it late last night, and I'm like, okay, we're going to start over. Take 2.
You know what? No, we're going to go with it. This is what really happens, folks.
Oh, okay. Anyway, episode 80. Hi, I'm Lisa.
I'm Cryss. I can't even believe this. Okay. It's going to be one of those days.
Oops.
Okay. Let's talk about sensible stuff.
Yeah. I'm thinking. Okay.
You're making a top.
I'm working on my Krista top. Well, I call it Krista because that's what it's called on Ravelry. In this book, Knitting Lingerie Style, it is called the Shaped Lace Tee. Completely uninspired name for a totally inspiring top.
But Krista is super random, so
yeah, I don't know. I've been calling it both things, But I'm gonna try to lean into Krista because it'll help people find it on Ravelry. So this is Krista. Very fuzzy, less fuzzy. There she is.
We're gonna do this every week, huh?
No, I'm gonna try not to, but. So here's my Krista. This is the back. I have been plugging steadily along on this. So this week, I was able to finish the length of the body. And I've shaped the armholes. And now I'm just doing the length of the armhole. Ooh, Lordy. My needle protector fell off when I picked it up. Well, it didn't fall off all the way. It just came off one needle.
I can't live with that kind of fear. I cannot with the knitting. Mm-mm.
So here I am. Very happy with this. The lace was so easy to memorize. So now I don't even have to look at the chart. I can just go. So I don't know if you were here last week, but if you are subscribed, you probably got a notification about my other video that I did, just a creator vlog talking about how I went about altering this for myself, because I'm not using yarn that is anywhere near the same size as the yarn this thing was done in. So I had to kind of recalculate the numbers. And in order to make mine come out, I actually added one set of repeats, one set of this repeat in the middle of in the shirt. And it's going along swimmingly. I'm very happy with how it's going so far. So now what I have to do is I put a black thread in, and I have to knit 8 inches up from this. And I've got about the first 1.5 inches of those 8 inches going, and then the back will be finished.
Why use the thread instead of your barber cord?
You know what happened? I had the barber cord in when I had to do the 17 inches of body. Mm-hmm. It's heavy. It's heavier than the thread. So when it was in vertically, it fell out.
Oh, okay.
It did. It just went because this has no grip. It's it's linen and cotton and
viscose.
The viscose. So I picked it up one day, and my plumb line just went whee and fell out. So I went back to my old standard. I just put a piece of sewing thread in there, and now I know that I have marked, I'll be able to measure from the right place every time. The
barber cords are for wool.
I would use it for wool, and I would use it on the horizontal like it's designed for, not the vertical. Keep count of what you're doing. As you can see, I have a bunch of stitch markers set in here, marking out my repeats. And what I've been doing is, because I have a tendency to leave out a yarn over. I don't know why. Maybe I'm not paying enough attention sometimes, my mind wanders. So when I count,
watching TV and listening to a podcast while knitting,
that it could be something like that sometimes. When I count on the back side, when I'm just purling, if I don't have my right number, on the back side, I know I did something, so I'd look at it and like, oh, left out. And it's almost every time I forgot a yarn over. So I find that yarn over, I pick it up, and I go on with my day. So that's my piece of advice for knitting any kind of lace. Know what your count should be and count your stitches every time. It saves so much time. I haven't had to like rip back like a whole chunk because within one row, I generally know something is off. And I have been doing magic knots for my joins. And once I give this its first wash, I will just cut that completely off. And that's that, because I don't feel like there's a real purpose to weaving in the ends on cotton and linen, because it's not going to mesh together the way wool does. That's the whole point of that. So I tie the knot that is pretty much invisible. I make sure it stays on the back side, and then I cut those ends. And so far this has been about 2.5 balls of yarn. So we'll see. I'm hoping that by next week I'll have my back complete, and that would be so awesome. Although it does mean I'm just gonna start the same thing over again and do the front.
You just do some strings though.
I know, right? Strap it on.
I'm still working on my shawl. I'd hoped to be finished by now, but see what happened was I have just been frogging and frogging and frogging because this was a very impetuous make. And I had no plan. This is my delicate bag that I got. I said this was going to be like my, when I'm outside crocheting bag, but I don't crochet outside. So I was just like, screw it. I'm just going to use it now. I'm not saving it for something special.
I know, right? Are you going to save it for the queen to visit?
So that would be special.
I know, for real. So then she'd be visiting from the beyond.
But I tried one. So basically it's going to be 3 sections that are bounded by this vertical stripe. So for the 3rd section, I tried one thing and I was like, well, I don't think I'm gonna have enough white yarn for that. Then I tried another thing and I said, well, I don't think I'm gonna have enough black yarn for that. So this is like a 3rd or possibly 4th iteration, but I like how it's coming out. And see, that is exactly what I wanted, those horizontal stripes kind of contrasting the vertical stripes.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And so basically the rest of this section is just going to be, once I finish the horizontal stripe, it's going to be the black and then the white and the gray, and then do this again. And then that should be the shawl. The problem is, the black yarn is still currently promotion in doubt. And I would like to do one more gray stripe so that this section is wider. But each row, I'm increasing every row. So each row is getting a little bit bigger. It's getting bigger by 4 stitches. And so if I do 2 more rows of gray, when I come back to the black, it'll just take just that much more yarn.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to do it anyway because I really do want that section wider to really stand out. But maybe, I don't know. I'm going back and forth. I have 3 gray stripes. I may or may not do a 4th stripe. Yeah. And then, like I said, I'll just finish it off with those 1 stripe in each color.
I like the 3. I think you want to stick with that kind of odd number, and the width kind of balances.
Right. I was wondering, did I want that though? Did I want that? Because what I did here in this 2nd section, as you see, my first white stripe is a lot wider. It's actually twice the width of the 2nd white stripe. And I did that, on purpose. So now I'm like, do I want to play with the width of that stripe, or do I want it to kind of stay in line with the others? I don't know. These things are not important decisions. I'll do one thing or I'll do the other. But that's just where I left off last night, thinking as I went to sleep. 3 stripes, 4 stripes, 3 stripes, 4 stripes.
I'm glad it's not just me. Okay.
That is just what happened. Yeah, had a little bit of crochet yarn, slowing me down a little bit, but hopefully the hope is that I will finish this by the next episode. And
I love it.
I'm really happy.
I am
incredibly happy with it. I think she's named the whatever shawl because I'm just doing whatever. Just whatever comes to my head as I'm working on it. That's what's happening. So,
but that's also slowing you down because
yes,
if you change your mind,
the frogging. The frogging is real. Y'all don't know. There's been, so much.
You're taking a vacation by the frog pond.
I'm surprised this thing doesn't just go ribbit every time I walk past, okay? But yeah, it's coming out really nicely. I like this so much better than what I was working on from the book. I know I have a bias. I do prefer designing my own things as opposed to working from patterns. But I just think this is so much cuter and more interesting. And
okay, I'm going to make some suggestions. Well, a suggestion. Why don't you sketch out all your ideas?
I tried that, but it just doesn't look the same on paper. Because I was, playing around with some, colored pencils and, trying to work out my stripes. And it just wasn't translating well enough that I felt like just looking at it on paper, I could make that decision. I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't do that typically. I just haven't learned that skill yet. Maybe I need to sketch a little bit more. Because I do like a schematic, but I don't do something that's supposed to look like the finished garment.
Yeah, try doing a sketch that kind of represents it. Because I'm not saying you draw every speckle, but what I am saying is you show contrasts, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, and different bands of lightness and darkness. And that might give you an insight into what you want to see. But without having to actually do it and then rip it out.
But what I have now, I don't think it's going to get ripped out.
Okay.
Wish me luck.
Got my fingers crossed for you.
Yeah, so now, when you're near... did you have a thing?
No, go for it.
When you're nearing the end of a whip, I'm starting to think about my next project. And this is kind of Lisa's fault. Because she's making this cute little lacy tee. And now I'm thinking like, oh, maybe I want a cute little lacy tee. And then I was just randomly looking at an old issue I have of Interweave Crochet. And on the cover, it was like, oh, make a lacy tee. And I was like, are you kidding me?
You got a sign. That's a sign if I ever heard one.
That was like what they featured in that issue. It was a summer issue. So now I have lace on the brain. And I had this idea. I was like, oh, but it's going to take me so long to figure out a lace pattern. And it was just like, I don't have to figure out a lace pattern. I can just use this dictionary.
Dun, dun.
So I got out my Japanese Stitch dictionary, and I got out my linen because I have been dying to dig into this linen. I have a lace weight linen called Flax Lace from Universal. Sadly, it's discontinued. There's still a tiny little bit to be had on Premier Yarns, but I just got to swatching. So now I have this thing with swatches. I tend to just rip them out after I'm done with them, but I needed to like look at multiple swatches at a time. So I had one swatch at the beginning of my skein. I had another swatch at the end of my skein. I was like, but I still need to do more swatches. What do I do? And Lisa pushed me to just cut the yarn. I'm still like, why did I do that? But now I have some swatches. So this is, oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, that looks great.
That's one that I considered. And is this one I'm using? Oh, no, okay. Then this was another one. But
I like both of those. I don't know how you're gonna choose.
Is, I don't know. I felt like I needed a little bit more rigidity in it, something to hold it together a little bit better. So I found a stitch pattern that has how after each repeat there's just a straight row of single crochet going across, and I feel like that kind of gives it some integrity. And so I think what I'm actually going to go with, I didn't even realize I cut this one. Oh my gosh. Okay, picking up bad habits from Lisa.
Once you start cutting them,
I know, I thought this was still attached, but I think this is what I'm actually going to use to make my top.
Oh yeah, that is gorgeous. What?
Oh, there you go. So, I think I had a piece of white paper. Let's see if I can show it to you like this.
Oh yeah, that's getting better. Yeah.
So, I think this is what my top is actually going to be. So basically, it's like 3 rows of shells, and then a row of mesh, and then 2 rows of shells, and then a row of mesh, and it just alternates like that. And I love it. I'm absolutely crazy about it. This is a 100% linen.
Oh, you know what? Do me a favor. Try something. I just heard about this in a class. You see how the camera focuses on your face, hold it up in front of your face first, and then push forward from your face, and see if that helps with the focusing.
I don't think we should be doing these experiments while we're actively filming.
See, there you go.
But yeah, this is my thing that I'm making, except I don't exactly know what I'm making yet. I'm either making a t-shirt or a tank top or a dress.
Oh, the possibilities are endless.
I can't decide. I just know I want to use this yarn and I want to use this stitch pattern because I think it's so gorgeous.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
But I don't
feel it?
know what I'm making it.
Oh, that feels good.
Now, I would have no idea how to increase or decrease in this pattern. So whatever I do is going to be boxy. It's just going to be a rectangle. Like I was thinking to do maybe just like a t-shirt dress.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that could look really cute.
You know what? You could hide your increases and decreases in the single crochet row if you wanted to.
No, because you have to have a certain number of single crochet stitches to do. What I would have to do is a border edging.
Yeah.
But the rows are different heights, so I'd have to figure out which stitches to do for each row.
A boxy, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Boxy. Like I've already went through those permutations.
See,
so it's either going to be a t-shirt dress or a cropped t-shirt or some sort of tank top. Oh gosh, it's so pretty. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's nice.
But I just love this. But so I was thinking, you know, it's 100% linen, it's supposed to be very cool and comfortable to wear. However, if I have to wear something underneath it, and you know what, maybe I'm perfectly fine with my bra showing, but if I decide to wear something underneath it, I don't want to wear a synthetic fabric.
No.
Because then I'll be losing the benefits of wearing this cool, comfortable fiber. So I just ordered like a bamboo tank dress.
Mm-hmm.
And I also happen to have a skirt that I thrifted that's 100% linen. And I'm going to also make just like a little sheath dress.
There you go.
Out of that. So I will have some options to wear underneath things that will still give me that cool, comfortable feel. And that's something like, just something to think about when you're working in these lighter summer fabrics. Any layers you wear, you want them to also be those light, comfortable fabrics.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking to do a shawl out of the linen too, because you can get a little sun coverage by wearing a shawl.
Absolutely.
But it'll still be light and comfortable. So we'll see. But right now, this is where I am. But yeah, so this is my upcoming. It's so pretty. I'm sorry. This is every time I see it.
You fall in love again, because that's how I feel. How many repeats did you do of your lace to get that size swatch?
This is technically, because the pattern is 3 and then 2. This is 1.
Oh, that's a nice big repeat to begin with. Yeah, because I like to do a big swatch, just so I have enough fabric to see what it's really going to be like.
But I think I need to like block this.
Yeah.
Just because
I also block it.
It's wrinkle crinkle over here. And Mom just came in and left. So you probably heard the door creaking. Yeah. Yeah, it's wrinkly crinkly, and I just don't want to measure it like this when it's not laying flat.
Matter of fact, I block this.
Yeah. So, I typically don't block my swatches, is the thing. So I might.
But when you can see it squashed, you gotta block it. Yeah.
So this will be my first time blocking a swatch. Oh my gosh, I feel so official.
There's nothing wrong with official, okay? But give yourself enough fabric to measure and to see if it's really going to be what you want it to be like.
It's definitely going to be.
Oh, absolutely.
It is definitely.
I know. Once I finished the swatch and once I blocked it, I was like, yes.
I think I might actually. I have this yarn in a bright sugar white, and I might make it out of the white instead of this color. But yeah, so that's what's coming up next. But so I made my swatches. I'm gonna just set my swatches aside, finish my shawl, and that will be that.
Well, I have also been thinking about my next project, although I'm only just about 50%
I'm
through.
in the last section of my shawl. I can think about my next project.
I'm 50% through.
Lisa. Okay.
I just thought about it and did a schematic. That's all.
That's a little more than just thinking about it.
That's thinking on paper.
That's thinking twice.
I haven't.
Because you did your head thinking and your paper thinking.
Well, yeah.
You know what? I'm not even dealing with you. But yeah, so that's what's going on with me and projects.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Whoa, okay.
Another magazine.
Oh yeah.
2 actually. They're from the same publisher. Aceville. I've never heard of the publisher, but apparently they publish Sew magazine and Let's Knit, and both of those they're going to cease publication. They have a number of other craft magazines as well, but those 2. It is just, oh my god,
it's
Armageddon.
Like the craft apocalypse going on out there. I feel like it's the craft apocalypse. It's disturbing.
I wonder how many of these publishers are going to try something new though. Like, are they going to try some sort of, like, Making is trying a digital something or other. They have something called the Bright Collective.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, so I don't exactly know what you get with your Bright Collective membership. It seems to be it's almost like they have their own in-house Patreon.
Oh, okay.
But and they have, you know, an app. They have like a social media app associated. Yeah. The app is free. I'm curious to see if, like, big publishers like Interweave or Soho Publishing, are they going to start trying more digital outreach, or are we really just going to lose all these magazines with nothing to come into the space?
I hope not. But you know what? Once upon a time, when magazines ruled the world, that's where you went for inspiration. And now there's so many other places. I think everybody we know has at least one Pinterest board. I mean, people think things through on Pinterest now before they ever buy anything. So, and that's just one outlet. Some people are Instagram people who get inspiration from there. Some people, you know, there's so many different places. So the primary function that magazines were giving, that's been farmed out into the digital platforms. I was looking at Harper's Bazaar, and why were there 45 pages of ads before the table of contents? I was like, oh, that's what you guys are doing now?
Magazines serve now. They only serve the advertising. It used to be more of a balance. And I guess because when you felt you had more of a captive audience, you I don't know. Now it's like they don't respect this audience. So it's just like, well, we don't really have to do anything for them.
They'll be back.
But yeah, it's all ads, but also digital subscriptions, not subscriptions to magazines. The prices have gone way down compared. The newsstand price will be crazy, but you can get a subscription. I got a subscription to Vogue magazine for, I think it was $12. So $1 a month. Vogue is supposed to be like fashion's Bible. I'm just like, I don't know what's gonna. I mean, obviously, it's bigger than just the craft industry. Publishing, magazine publishing.
I think publishing in general.
Yes. But I feel like publishers aren't trying to come up with new ideas. They're just like, oh, the old thing's not working. Let's shutter that. But
that's not that bad.
They're not really coming up with anything to take its place. And what's going to happen is you're going to have someone who's not traditionally from publishing come in and come up with something like Netflix did when they started their streaming service, and then everyone's going to be mad at them. But it's just like, well, why didn't you do it?
Exactly. Especially when you have all these assets already. So many assets.
When the disruptor comes in.
Yes. They make it a dirty word. Just like,
but if you rested on your laurels, well, then that's what's going to happen. At some point, you know, someone has to move things forward. And it's either going to be, you know, the people who are still selling paper, they're going to try something else, or someone else will come in and figure that out.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see which way it goes.
I have some announcements. Well, one announcement. My class is coming up for Vogue Knitting. It's going to be on Saturday the 10th.
Well, you have multiple classes. Are they all on Saturday?
Actually, no. They've cut back to just one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I will be teaching Sweater Savvy, how to knit a first sweater that fits. And if you are on Vogue Knitting's mailing list, they're sending out a 20% discount. Don't tell anybody I told you. So I would sign up for their mailing list, and you might be able to get the class, or any of the other classes really, at 20% off.
I took a look at Vogue Knitting. They didn't have enough crochet classes for my taste, but that will probably always be true.
Well, yeah. Oh, did you ever find out if the Crochet Guild is doing their chain link conference?
I haven't seen a word about it online.
Wow.
But the weird thing is that there's also no announcement that they're not doing the chain link conference.
It's like,
it's that limbo that I don't know. Maybe they're still trying to make it happen. I don't know what's going on with the Crochet Guild, but I'm worried for them. I'm very, very worried for them. But it's a rough time in the crafting world.
it is. It absolutely is. You just went to Joann's. How was things looking in yarn world over there?
I have to be honest, I don't really look at the yarn in Joann. It's a lot, I'm just not using acrylic like that, and I'm also not using worsted weight yarn like that, and that's the majority of what they offer. They still have several episodes back I showed you some cotton and some wool that I got from Joann. The brand was called KNC for knit and crochet.
Mm-hmm.
They still have the dregs of that. They haven't discounted it. I keep hoping what's left will end up in the clearance section so I can just go clean that out. But
not that you're planning it.
They're hanging in there, still trying to get full price for that yarn. So I don't know. Did I go? Yeah, it was Memorial Day too that I went, and they did not have that yarn on sale.
Yeah,
that just seemed rude.
Well, I think it's kind of flying out the door, because last time I went, there wasn't that much of it left.
No, but the fact that there's still some, it did not fly out the door. They did have some oddball colors. You had to really want those colors.
Yeah.
But yes, but like the yarn aisles in Joann, I don't even look. If your yarn's not on an end cap, I'm not gonna see it.
I know. I feel a way about that.
The craft stores are a whole other thing. Cause is Michael's gonna stop selling yarn? It's already such a small section in the Michael's that I sometimes go to. Like literally, it's this tiny little section, and then it's all the way in the back of the store by the entrance to their storeroom.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
That doesn't seem to show a commitment to yarn.
We'll see how the changes go over there, because they're supposed to be revamping the whole situation. So I don't know.
Okay. What's on our list now?
Oh, I think we've covered much of everything. We were talking about Nitty Natty and her clearing.
So last year, Nitty Natty did this thing where she was trying to get to stash 0, and I was wondering how that was going to happen, but she gave away a lot of it, and that because there's no way you can just like knit your whole stash if you have like I can't crochet my whole stash unless
I think you have a crochet arm now.
Yeah. So she did ultimately achieve her goal, and she got down to stash 0. I don't know if she's buying yarn now for each project, or if she's rebuilding the stash.
The stash is coming back. I think, her conclusion was that she'll probably never not have at least some yarn, but it keeps growing back on you. If you buy yarn, you buy yarn.
But she recently did an episode where she's now getting rid of some of her makes. So over the last, I guess, 4 or 5, she had one thing I think that was from 2016. Was it? Maybe? I don't know. But so she's been knitting for a number of years now, and she is getting rid of some of the things she's made. So I watched most of the video. She was basically just trying everything on, talking about how much she's worn it or hasn't, and deciding kind of on the spot as she put things on whether or not she would give it away. And she's actually giving it away to her her viewers. That she has some sort of form you can fill out for which thing you want, and somehow she'll pick someone and send them what she's made. I'm not gonna lie, it was like triggering for me when I just saw the thumbnail, like giving away my knits. I was like watching the video, it was a lot more reasonable.
It made a lot more sense.
I thought. So she had some things that she said she just wasn't wearing them at all. One thing, she had things that she said she either wasn't wearing, or she said she went through a period with her tops where she was making them like A-line. So a lot of them are now too wide at the bottom. She thought she needed like way more space at the hips than she did. So she's just not wearing that style anymore. So she's getting rid of some of those things. But for instance, her Alpenglow, which was last year's Entry Maori Rhinebeck sweater, she's getting rid of that. And she said that when she made it, she knew it was something that she wasn't really going to add to her wardrobe.
You know what it was, though? It was too short.
Yeah, but she said
she was always pulling at it.
It was too short, but she said that when she got back from Rhinebeck, she cut it and she added rows. So it's not too short anymore. But she said that the yarn is a little itchy.
Yeah.
And just the style, because I don't know if that's how it was supposed to look or if something went a little wonky with her neckline, but it had like a mock neck, but it was sitting kind of funny. So the yarn kind of folded, had a weird fold here, but then the neck kind of stood out in the back. I don't know. Something was going on with the neckline. But I feel like it's just one of those things she made because that was the popular. She said she enjoyed being in the community of people who were making it for a Rhinebeck, because I guess there was like some sort of make-along going on.
Yeah.
But she didn't want to wear that sweater.
Yeah. I you know what? I'm not that kind of makeup. That it's just that something is popular. I mean, sometimes I get into a thing because, oh, that's really cute. And it happens to be a popular thing, but I like it. And so I made it for myself. But I spend too many hours on my making, and that it can't be something that after I finish making it, after all those many hours, I'm like, yeah.
So she finished that last fall, and now like she hasn't had it a year and she's giving it away. I guess when I said like the video is triggering for me, that's what I assumed there would be more of in the video. Just like, oh, I just made this, I don't like it, so here it is. But that wasn't the majority of what she was doing. Yeah. But there was some of that. I don't understand.
I think it makes sense if your style has changed, or you've made so many things that you realize, you know what happens when you make a lot of things for yourself? You understand what size you are. And in the beginning, you don't. For a second.
She also says she's moving. And so I think that's what's triggering a little bit of the purge mentality. Yeah. You don't want to take the stuff that you don't want or need to the new place.
Yeah, that's going to cost you more money to pack that stuff up.
Yes. So there's that as well. So it was a much more sensible video than I thought it was going to be when I saw the thumbnail. I prejudged. I did. I admit it. But I'm still just giving away something I spent so much time on and money probably, because she uses the good yarn.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that I could just send it off to strangers like that.
You know what? If it was something that wasn't my style anymore, because, I've had a Ravelry queue for many years now. I adopted using Ravelry like maybe a year after it started. And there were some things in my Ravelry queue that are in the what were you thinking pile. Like, really? So I understand if it's not your style anymore. It wasn't the right size to begin with, because I've got a couple of those, Or like you discovered that, this yarn wasn't appropriate for the thing I'm made.
Still working on those, trying to remake something. That's what inspired the shawl. Although the shawl looks nothing like the shawl I'm replacing.
It's only inspired by.
Yes.
So there's valid reasons to do that. And I think that's a really good thing, because it may not be right for you, but it might be perfect for the person who receives it. And so the thing is actually getting used. which I like that idea.
She had a number of big old Stephen West shawls that she's also giving away, and that is like an investment of time. I don't know. I am divided on this. I'm torn over it. Like, I guess some of it makes sense, but then it's still just like, did you know you weren't going to wear that ginormous shawl when you made it? I think you did.
Yeah, there's some of that. Yeah.
So I enjoy the act of crocheting. I do. I wouldn't do it so much if I didn't enjoy it. But I still can't separate myself from the result.
Mm-hmm.
So I still struggle with that idea that you make something just like as an exercise or just to be part of the make along, or you want to learn that technique or something, but then you are absolutely not attached to the thing that you made. I'm attached to everything, even like the ugly acrylic stuff I've made. I'm still attached. It's going to be, it'll still be a little hard for me to let it go, even though I know I don't want to wear that old version. But I guess that's a thing. We've talked about this before, me being completely baffled by making things you don't want to wear.
Like I never understood the shawl. Well, I do understand the shawl making now, because some people are afraid to try sizing and shaping things, so they make shawls. But if you don't wear shawls, what happens to all those shawls?
You give them away in a YouTube video.
Are there piles of shawls somewhere?
Yes, there are.
And I guess my being a little more adventurous, even if things don't come out great at first, I learn something from everything I make, so I make a little bit of progress. Crystal can testify about my ugly hat phase. Ugly, ill-fitting.
Some of them were really bad, but
weird.
She got so much better.
Oh yes. Now anybody wear a hat I make. But in the beginning, that wasn't the case. So, and I had a sock go awry one time. It was not even funny. But I feel like out of those mistakes came the foundation of my becoming a much better knitter now than I was then. And if you don't wear things like shawls, but you continue to make shawls, then where does the growth come from?
I'm always curious, like, what would the same knitters be making if we didn't have platforms for showing what we make? Like, would more people just make the things they want to make?
No. I don't think so.
You don't think so? Like, if they were doing like secret knitting, they're like,
because
I just want to make this.
Before social media, there were still patterns that got passed around. They just physically got passed around. So you and a cluster of your friends, you were making the same thing. And I think a lot of people make the same thing that they see people around them making, or people who they watch making, because it gives them proof of concept. They see that the pattern works, the pattern can be actually made.
Yeah, I'm always stitching on a wing and a prayer, y'all.
You and me both sometimes. I did want to mention, if you're interested on Wings and Prayers, basically, I did do a sort of a vlog about the beginnings of my Cryss tea, how I swatched, how I recalculated the numbers, and that came out. It's a Friday video, so I'll put one of those little boxes in there. It'll be here somewhere, and you can click on that and check that video out. Because I don't know where it's gonna go exactly, so it'll be here somewhere. But like I said, it's just, I hope that if someone sees this Cryss tea get made, they feel like, oh, okay, that's makeable. And I think that's just what's happening. People feel like, oh, that's makeable.
It's makeable because it's a pattern.
People thought that about those Estonian lace shawls, and it was riddled with errors.
I'm sure someone's made this Estonian lace shawls.
I'm sure someone has, but
Okay.
But it's just like when we were in the shop and people would ask, oh, do you have this one in blue? Because they needed to actually see one in blue to imagine it in
There
blue.
was this woman once who came in and she was trying to decide which color yarn to buy to make a little like scarflet kind of thing. And she was like, well, is there somewhere I can see one in every color yarn? And I was like, no. And I'm thinking to myself, that's not a thing. I understand, like, you want to have some, that one stays with me.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah, I was thinking of her too. It's like, they have one in every color? Like, no.
Like, at some point, you just have, it is just a leap of faith. At some point, you just have to start stitching. And goodness knows, yeah. I have figured that out. Like, sometimes you just start stitching and you see where it goes.
Yeah, and I always say this about yarn. It's one of those arts where the material is not consumed by doing the art. So let's say, you didn't like it. You rip that yarn out and the yarn still exists. So you can use that yarn for something else or use it for later.
Unless it's got sequins.
Unless it's got sequins, yeah. Then you're stuck right there.
Okay, I think we wandered a little bit.
Yes. But let me ask you guys, what do you think about going through your stash of makes and doing a purge? Is that something you would do? Because you're already in that process. You're just doing it slowly.
I've gotten rid of like a handful of things that were really just bad. They didn't fit or they felt terrible or something. But
they tried to kill you that one time.
I still have that dress. I didn't get rid of it. I don't wear it. I keep it in a drawer. But I'm attached. I can't. I'm attached. So I don't know. I don't think I'll be getting rid of that one. I know, right?
Wow. It tried to avoid a cadaver you.
Yeah. I'm not holding a grudge.
For those that don't know, let me recap. What was it, July?
Yeah.
It was July, and she's wearing a full acrylic dress. Mm-hmm. And it only got hotter.
And I had a synthetic shirt underneath it because, it was lacy, so I had to wear something underneath it. And between the two together, I literally almost passed out. But yeah, I still have it though. But it wouldn't make sense to give it to someone else and have them have the same experience.
Just let it go.
I was so proud of that dress because let me tell you, a couple of things were happening. One, it was the first dress that I'd ever made. Two, I had set out about making the cheapest dress possible. So I actually bought, AC Moore used to have a $1 bin for yarn. And not only did I buy yarn from the $1 bin, I had a 25% off coupon. So I got those Skeins for 75 cents. So I made that dress for like maybe $7. And three, I wore that bad boy to someone's wedding. It was not in a summer wedding, thankfully.
No,
it was in spring and it was cool enough.
She didn't even know. You didn't know until the second time you wore it.
So I wore that to a wedding. Everyone was like, oh, that looks so nice. I was really happy with how, because for me at the time, I was still like learning how to make garments. And the idea of me making a dress that could be worn to a wedding seemed crazy. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, what am I thinking? But I did it and it worked out. So it's like an emotional thing. I'm not getting rid of that dress.
No problem. Oh. I get that, and I think you should totally keep that. I think you should totally keep that. But I also think that at some point, doing a purge is totally okay, especially for things that you're not attached to in that way. That this is not my style anymore, or this never did fit right. Yeah. That you're not going to wear, and it's taking up valuable closet real estate.
I know, because right now I'm starting to run out of, because I don't keep my crochet stuff in like my main closet, because that's already kind of foolish. I have been purging the main closet though. So I have like some racks where I keep my crochet stuff, and they're kind of filling up, which is a good thing. But I don't know what to do. I haven't figured that one out yet. I have some floating shelves on my wall, and I was thinking to actually take down the floating shelves so I could get a taller cabinet. Because I can't put like a tall piece of furniture on that particular wall because of those floating shelves. So I might I was thinking to just take down the floating shelves so I can get like a real piece of furniture to put them in. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. But I had 2 goals as a crocheter, and it was to learn to be my own designer and to build my crochet wardrobe. I have really come a long way, and I can't believe that I can say that I'm still growing, but I would still feel like I've accomplished those goals. I feel much more confident making things for myself. And at this point now, I have quite a number of like wearable, that's the important thing, wearable crochet garments. And I still can't believe how far I've come.
Yeah. I mean, we're at the point now, both of us, that we have time to make summer garments. Okay?
So for me, it's just much harder getting rid of things. And so I don't know, like, I don't watch Nitty Natty all the time. So I don't know if she, like, I don't watch every episode. I don't know if she's ever talked about, like, lacking confidence around knitting or anything like that. For me, as a crocheter, when it came to garments specifically, I struggled with confidence.
Yeah, me too.
So,
me too.
For me, most of what I made at some point felt impossible. And that's why I feel like I can't really let them go, even if some of them are just like, we're not wearing that. Because each one feels like, like achievement unlocked.
Yes, yes.
So maybe, further down the road, I will get there. Maybe Nitty Natty has just evolved faster than I have.
You know what, though? She hasn't. She started back in 2016.
But, yeah, like I said, the idea of just handing off those things I made was like triggering, and I was just like, what is she doing?
You know what? I'm going to say it was triggering for me too, because I saw the thumbnail and I refused to watch the video. I was like, oh,
I was like, well, let me see what she's doing. And like I said, it was much more sensible than I thought it would be, but I'm just not there yet.
but girl, Nitty Natty, if you hear about us, you're doing the right thing. Clear some space. And especially as your style evolves, I think that it should reflect where you are now.
Yeah, because those A-line tops really didn't fit her well. So, yeah, like I said, she made some good decisions, but I'm still keeping the death dress. And on that note,
let me ask you guys, if you enjoyed our content, please like and subscribe and share us with a friend.
Stay stitching.
Have a good week, everybody.